That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Callie. This is Callie's Collectibles Reviews, and today for something a little bit different. I'm not going to look at just figures, I'm going to look at just a little collection I have of Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing was one of the kind of first real superheroes I really got into as a child, along with like Spider-Man, Batman, those kinds. You know, when I started getting into them, I kind of started getting into Swamp Thing because there was a cartoon TV series when I was a child. There was an action figure line to support it, so I saw those. And it was kind of a rabbit hole for me situation where I saw the toys, I got into the cartoon, and then I knew it was based on comics, and then there was films and all sorts out there. So I decided for today, I'm just going to take a quick kind of look at my little Swamp Thing collection that I have going on. I have some figures to take a quick look at. I'll take a closer look at those in the review station like I normally do. A couple of films to take a quick look at, and of course some comic books. And that is where we are going to start. So let's jump into it, shall we? Okay then, so starting with book 1, which is obviously a good place to start. This is the Saga of the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore. Now, he took over on issue 20 of the Swamp Thing after its original run in, I believe, 1984. It does tell you very nicely. I will show some pictures up here to the side. But it does tell you, as you go through kind of the index of what issues are in the collected set, it tells you the original number, the original month it was, and year it was released. So I think that's a really nice little touch. In each book you kind of get like little things for you to read, just kind of bringing you up to date. But yeah, the first issue that Alan Moore worked on was called Loose Ends. And it's kind of works on multiple levels with Loose Ends. He was wrapping up the storylines that were present in the previous issue, in issue 19. He was kind of tying those up so he could set his own story in motion. And if you have seen the recent oh god, I hate talking about this, the Swamp Thing TV series that was on the DC Universe streaming service that was a thing and is now kind of dead. I didn't get it, I don't know. The Swamp Thing TV series that they did for that is heavily, very, very heavily based upon this. As the story goes on, more and more unfolds, you find out that Swamp Thing isn't actually a person who is mutated into a vegetable creature. Spoiler warning, if you haven't read or seen the TV series, you can skip ahead if you like to the action figure section. But throughout the course of this book, Swamp Thing actually finds out that he's not a man mutated, he is actually a plant elemental that took on the consciousness of Alec Holland. So it's an elemental that thought it was a man, but it's not. And the autopsy scene in this book is lovingly, I say lovingly, grotesquely, lovingly recreated in that TV series. So if you haven't seen it, I can highly recommend it. I've only seen it once, but the disappointing thing is, if you know anything with that series, it had 15 episodes, then it got cut to 10, and then it got cancelled before it even had a chance to get going. And me and one of my friends did say after watching it that just as it gets going, just as it's getting to the good bit, it ends. So it's a little bit disappointing, but you can kind of follow it on with these books. I only have 3 out of the I think it's 6 or 7 of these. I only have 3, but they do feature some amazing artwork. They do feature some amazing storylines. You've got guest appearances from the likes of Deadman, Etrigan the Demon, and you even get the very, very first appearance of John Constantine, or Teen, or however you want to fucking pronounce it. The guy that Matt Ryan is famous for. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah. But yeah, I can highly recommend these. I will, while I'm having this little yammer and chat about this book, I will be throwing pictures up over here somewhere so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. In the second book, it actually features, I think it's the second book, second or third. Yeah, it's got the, how can I put this? The lovemaking scene between Swamp Thing and Abigail Arcane. But it's not done in the traditional sense. It's more like a metaphorical melding of the minds kind of sexual encounter. And the way they handle it is Abigail eats a piece of Swamp Thing that he grew specifically for her. Not like that, you dirty perverts. He didn't grow a cucumber or nothing like that. It was like a plant he grew off of himself. He took a bite, she took a bite, and it joined their consciousnesses together. And because he is literally connected to the entire earth, she becomes connected to the earth as well through him. So it's kind of like this weird metaphysical sexual exploration going on, and it's the way the comic handles it, and I will show it in pictures up to the side here. I'm just looking at it down here now for, freshness of memory. But as the scene progresses, you have to kind of turn the comic book. There's actual, I'll show you in the pictures, but there's like a slide, and you have to turn the comic book from this way to continue to read it. So it's like a shift of perception. And I don't see many comic books doing that, and I think it's a wonderful little thing to actually get you, the reader, to shift the perspective. And this was in the mid-1980s. I mean, yeah. But yeah, I will show some pictures up here. There are some lovely, lovely pieces of artwork in here. I think it's in the end of book 3, I think. There's a picture that I'd love to get as an art print. I can't remember. Is it book 1 or book 3? I know it's in one of them. There we go. I found it. Yeah, I will show this picture up here. But yeah, I'd love to get that as an art print. It is just absolutely amazing. But anyway, moving on from the books to the action figures, I will jump into the review station and you can take a closer look with me. See you in a sec. Okay then, so here they are, the 2 figures that I currently own of Swamp Thing. I know there is a new one from McFarlane, and yes, I want it. I want it so, so badly. But anyway, the 2 that I do have, I have the DC Universe Swamp Thing from a few years back, I think 2014 I want to say, it could be earlier, don't hate me, and the DC Icons Swamp Thing. First, we'll take a look at the box for this guy, because I don't have the box for this one anymore, I don't think. I've not seen it around in my pile of boxes, so it could be somewhere, it could just be lost in the ether, I honestly don't know. But anyway, box first, and as you can see, let's move this guy out of the way, because this box is bloody huge. As you can see, look, there's a box, DC Universe Swamp Thing, Adult Collector. Move you out of the way for a moment. Right. Very nice box, as you can see. It says on the back, it has the story of Swamp Thing, if you want to pause it and give that a quick read. Very nice artwork on the box, like the swampy kind of look in the background. You've got all your legal info on the bottom. When does this say it came out? 2011. Yeah, see, so it was earlier than what I said. Like I said on the podcast recently, I don't get my dates exact, but I get them fucking close. But anyway, the cool thing about this packaging is if you pop open this part of the box and take out the insert that you'll find the figure in, it is actually Swamp Thing's face. It's the kind of cardboard you get at like McDonald's for the drinks trays. That's the unfortunate side of it, but it is recycled. I think it does state on the box that it's like recycled. So there you go. You pop it open and Swamp Thing sits in this piece. So he's kind of laid face down, and that's it for the box. Yeah, hold on to the figures. Now, this is the DC Icon Swamp Thing. And yeah, it's a bit basic. Let's get you out of the way because the camera's going to keep focusing on you. Right. So, yeah. It's a nice figure. It's nicely painted. The different types of green. It's like a dark green plastic with like a light green paint over the top. The eyes are very, very well done. I love the eyes on this figure. It's one reason why I kept it. The eyes are just so intense. But yeah, it's very, very basic. The veins, I'd love to get like a brown paint and pick some of these veins out so they look like roots. Because I think that's the one thing this is missing, is where there is veins realistically in my head. And when you look at like the comic book art, these veins here and on his legs, they should be brown really. And on his arms and around his face. But all in all, it's a decent figure from the DC Icons line. It's a bit smaller than you. It's not quite 7-inch scale. It's a bit smaller. He comes with a fist, 2 pairs of hands, fist hand and open hands for both sides. Articulation. There you go. Standard stuff for a DC Icons, double jointed elbows, all that loveliness. Kind of what you'd see on a Power Rangers Lightning Collection figure. But the one cool thing with these guys is they have drop-down hips. So you get at the top position, hip only comes that far. But if you drop it down, you can bring it further round. So that's one cool little thing that these DC Icon figures have. He also came with this weird little brain blob thing. I've heard people call this Belial from Basket Case. And I'm like, it's kind of well painted for the size it is. I mean, it's nicely done. This is a character in the books called Cranius. He's one of Arcane's Unmen. Again, read the book, you'll figure it. You'll find all this out, or you know, Google it, whatever. But yeah, so that's them. Moving on to the other Swamp Thing figure I have, the DC. Oh, he's lost his base. The DC Universe figure. Stand him up there for a second, if he will. There we go. Comes with this display base. It's decently done. It's not like brilliant, but it's decently done. The trees are like rubber, so they kind of got like a bit of a squish to them. And we'll get to that with the figure in a minute. But that's the display base. He stands on it like so. And just does what Swamp Thing does, which is just stand there looking iconic as fuck. But anyway, closer look at the figure itself. I gotta be careful because this guy's tall and he's taller than my tripod. But just look at that face sculpt. Look at it. The detail. And a lot of this on the figure is actually rubber. Like the skin is all rubber. So to have this kind of level of detail on essentially a rubber figure is just insane. Absolutely insane. And it's very, very indicative of the early Swamp Thing work. So the Alan Moore Swamp Thing kind of bulked up a bit and became more hench. But this is just a perfect, classic representation of Swamp Thing. Again, the eyes. The intensity in those eyes is insane. But there's all the flowers and veins and moss and like mushrooms growing on him. Down his legs. And look, you can see the fingers are all rubbery. So he can't really hold anything, can't grip anything, but he doesn't really need to. This kind of figure just stands on yourself and looks impressive. And the back detail, just look at this. All these plants and things growing down his back. It's just absolutely insane level of detail for essentially a skeleton covered in rubber. He does have articulation and it is ratcheted, but I don't like bending and flexing it too much because with rubber and things like that, over time and over age, it's going to start to become brittle and I don't want to mess with it too much. So like I said, this guy just goes on his base, goes on my shelf, and just looks imposing. I mean, you can even bring the arm up, make it like he's reaching for something. Will he stand? Come on. No, I've not got his balance right. Hold on. It's my desk as well. My desk is a little bit wonky, but there you go. Just look at that. But anyway, that was my Swamp Thing figures. I'm going to jump out and quickly talk about the films. Okay then, so very, very quickly covering the Swamp Thing films that I have in my collection. I will point that out. Starting with the first Swamp Thing film, directed by none other than Wes Craven, of all people. Who'd have thought that Wes Craven would do this? It's okay. As I said to one of my friends when I lent this film to them, look past the effects and look past the cheesiness. There's a story there. There's a good story there. Something that can hook you in and engage you. There is a good story there. It's just the minuscule budget and the mid-80s incredibly low budget effects just did not help the film. The Swamp Thing costume in this film is, one of my friends put it brilliantly, it's a guy in a green body condom. It's essentially what it is. But then, a few years later, we got the return of Swamp Thing, starring Heather Locklear. Weird as it is. But yeah, just the as you can see here from the picture, the suit is improved, the acting is improved. It's still tongue-in-cheek and it's still cheesy as all hell, but it knows it's cheesy as all hell and tongue-in-cheek, and it goes with it. It leans into that. Whereas this one tried to take itself very, very seriously. This one does not. And for that reason, it is one of my favourite films, just because of, everybody's got that favourite B movie that they love. This is mine. This is my all-time favourite B movie. So, and then lastly, we're going to jump on to Justice League Dark. Now, although he's on the cover, he's not in it very much, but it is kind of more stuff with Swamp Thing. He also appears right at the arse end of Batman and Harley Quinn. He kind of shows up and slaps the Frolic Man around a bit and is like, no, don't do that. Something to that extent. Very good film. It's more about the Justice League Dark as a whole. Swamp Thing happens to be part of that, but like I said, he's not in it very much. When he's in it, he's enjoyable and he's memorable, but other than that, he's not in it much. But if you're a fan of Swamp Thing, or just DC animated films in general, I highly recommend checking this one out. But anyway, that has been my little look at my Swamp Thing collection. And I hope that any Swamp Thing fans out there enjoyed this little look. If there's anything that I have missed, anything that you should point out that I can maybe pick up, like the cartoon series on DVD, I'm trying to find it. If anybody finds one, hit your girl up, please. Please. But anyway, I shall catch you all in the next video. Mwah. Bye for now, everyone.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.